Maryland sports fans, there's only one sportsbook in the great state of Maryland with over 50 years experience booking bets and supporting customers. Betfred Sportsbook at Longshots is now open and is the only sportsbook in Frederick offering cash betting on football, basketball, world soccer, and more. Visit the Betfred Sportsbook at I-270 and MD-85 in Frederick, right next to Longshots off-track betting. Go to betfredsports.com for more information and your chance to win exclusive merchandise. Must be 21 or older. Play responsibly. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Welcome to I'ma Let You Finish. It's Courtney and Amy. It's episode number 84. Are we at 84?
84.
Oh, shit. 84.
84. I think we're aging very well.
Right, we're aging very well. And part of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Welcome, kids.
Pantheon. Hi, Pantheon.
How was your weekend?
Okay. I can't think of anything bad that happened or anything particularly good that happened. So that means it was good. It was fun. Non-event. I'm all for non-eventful. Yeah. I'm all for non-eventful.
Yeah. Did you watch any of the All-Star stuff?
Not at all. Partial for several reasons.
And you're a basketball girl.
Okay.
That says something. I didn't give a shit as much as that. First of all, it's like, I don't really care about the All-Star game.
Me neither.
If I can be honest with you.
No, that's what I was going to say.
I've been to one before with artists, and I'm just like, okay, it's exciting to see the players, but I was like, the game is always dumb.
Well, the game is always bad. It's always like it's just not a great game, number one. Number two, I always forget what channel it's on because it's like TNT or blah, blah.
It's number two of them. They put it on TNT and TBS.
Yeah. Number three, the actual game itself was on Sunday and 90 Day Fiance is on. And I have to watch that in real time, seeing as how we lost a week because of the Super Bowl. And number four, I think Saturday night I was babysitting. So I was watching a lot of Disney Plus.
You had the young one.
I had a lot of Disney Plus. I saw no reason to subject him.
Does he still have a really good haircut? He had a really good haircut in that last picture. I'm like, this kid has.
No, he has really good haircuts.
This kid is giving like I have a $600 haircut. What's going on?
No. The whole family has good haircuts. I feel like Jesus Christ. I let Lucian's hair grow because it was the only way of calming him. He would calm himself down by twirling his hair. And then I had like the neighbor with the bowl cut. I'm a horrible human being. But no, he has a really good haircut. He's got really good hair. It's reddish. I don't know where that's coming from.
Right.
So in short, no, who won? I don't even know who won. The West, right?
The West team. Yeah, the West. Yeah.
Yeah, they always win.
Yeah, they always. It was. They had a dunk contest, which was absolutely the weirdest, most boring, and the dumbest dunk contest I've ever seen.
That's always the best part.
That's always Obi Toppin won. He's a Knick. We love Obi.
Yeah, we do love Obi.
But that dunk contest was embarrassing.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
so gone are the days.
And that's always the
best part.
Like none of the stars did it. Like it's like, okay, who are these people?
Yeah, the dunk contest is always, look, you will never, ever, ever outdo the dunk contest where the guy jumped over Nate Robinson.
I mean,
he jumped over somebody.
Yeah, and there was a jump. Now everybody does a jump, but listen. We've seen them jump over cars, people, elephants, riding children like on tricycles.
Really.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it was dumb.
There's nothing you can do at this point.
The best part of it was the top 75 players of all time. And we got to see a lot of the guys and seeing that there's still shit between like the Boston guys when Ray Allen came out and he completely ignored Kevin Garnett and Kevin Garnett was just staring up in the air.
Good. Good. I have still not forgiven Danny Ainge for anything.
And how people still, when Michael Jordan came out, is still the man. Like everybody's like, oh my God.
Whatever. You know what I feel about Michael Jordan. You know my feelings about Michael Jordan.
I do know your feelings of Michael Jordan.
Miserable human being, great ball player. Anyway, speaking of miserable human beings, can we just decide that we're not going to have an Olympics anymore? Because this was like the worst. Seriously. Well, first off, the curling. Enough with the curling. Every time I turned it on, there was
curling. It was very weird. It was on all the time.
How a kid in Norway one day goes, Mama, and that's an Italian accent. Okay. Whatever. Mom, you know what I want to be when I grow up? What, Sven? I want to do curling. Like, where does that? Who is the Michael Jordan of curling? Right. There must be, right?
There must be. Listen.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Between that, the whole ice skating has just forever been. That whole thing was just
painful.
And to watch first of all, this is the Olympics. If we can't have clean sport there, then it's like, come on.
Well, there's never been clean sport, Courtney. Let's be honest. I mean,
in the Olympics, they're supposed
blatant. To be. It's never, but
it's all coming from basically one region of the world, which is already supposedly banned. So why were they even there?
Well, there's that. They were there because we discussed it before. They were there because they paid to be there. It was a pay for play situation, basically.
Right.
Look, the only good thing about the ice skating finals was that it will be the first and maybe last time that you hear the Stooges, I Want to Be Your Dog, as part of because I remember when you had to play classical music. Look, the whole thing was just, it was embarrassing. If the young woman who was supposed to be the champ, if this is what they're doing in public, imagine the abuse that's going on behind the scenes. And all of our kind of kidding around, and we took it seriously. This is just a form of state-sanctioned child abuse at this point. They churn these girls up, they churn them out. It's painful to watch. Her coach, I mean, her
coach was basically like, bitch, you fucked up.
Well, but it's like,
this girl is in complete meltdown. She's had whatever it is, however I feel about personal responsibility, because, when you are a professional athlete, there's some of that. She's a
not
kid.
A professional athlete, though.
Well, listen, you are professional. When you are training to be an Olympian,
that's true.
That's true. Elite. You have everything you eat, you are responsible for, because you start drug testing for those kind of careers very, very young. So by 15, you understand what all of that is, right? But the adults, watching how all of the adults in this situation failed that kid, like what we saw at the end of that skating, I've just never seen anything like that.
No, it was painful. It was awful.
It was really painful to see, man. It's like, that's when you realize they're kids. It was like watching a mother, like a kid, do a screw up in public and watching a mother berate them and scream at them, Right. So that was really painful. The woman who came in second place, first off, she was just terrible. All she was doing was and they even said it. I mean, Johnny Weir, I'm paraphrasing, says, I'm not even going to pretend to talk about the artistry. It was it's become jump after jump after jump. And hers was all athletics with no artistry.
No artistry. Right. And it's just become this sort of like, it's such indicative of the times we're in. It's all for the impact. It's all for the flash. It's all for but there's no soul in it. The whole thing was just brutal and painful. And
watching Michaela Schifrin, the whole thing was weird. Well, it was all weird. It was just weird.
But in a kind of, not that we're not being serious, but you look at the women of the American Olympic team and what they endured. And I'm not accusing the Russians of sexual abuse, but look what they endured to be a champion. And at least they had the freedom to come out and speak about it. I can't even imagine. First off, these young women are so skinny. They are so skinny. They look unhealthy. They do not look like that. And it's just painful. And you know what? If they don't just flat out, you're never coming here again, to anyone Russian, I don't care if you're the Russian Olympic Federation, if you're the ROC in the building, if you're like, who, me? I'm not Russian. I don't care who you are. They should never be allowed because they destroyed it. They destroyed it. They really did. So basta on them. So speaking of people who, Madonna, whatever.
Listen,
you're the Madonna person,
I would, if there was a bit of time in life, if you told me Madonna has written, is co-producing, and is directing the movie of her life, I would have been really
directing it.
Yeah, oh, Miss Thing. Oh, yes. Oh, good. Of course Lord. She is.
Good Lord.
But now this version of Madonna has me very frightened of whatever the audition process has started for her biopic, and God only knows what this is going to be.
You know what it's going to be? It's going to be a complete blowjob. Do you think she really? The only interesting thing I've heard so far, and I'm honestly not paying that much attention, but that Julia Fox has auditioned for the role of Debbie Mazar, and at least that makes a little sense, I guess. I just
can somebody stop trying to make that happen, Julia
Fox has already happened. It's too late.
Is it? But is it done already? Because
no, it's not going to be done. And it's whatever. It's like whatever. I have no problem with. I really have no problem with Julia Fox. I don't see. At least I didn't see Uncut Gems. I heard she's really good in it. She went to the same high school my son went to.
Uncut Gems.
Yeah. But we've talked about this. You cannot do a biopic if the person, it's one thing to co-produce it or executive produce it, but you're writing it and direct. Oh yeah, that'll be objective. Who's gonna pretend?
This is the. What did you just say?
Pretend to sing.
Don't you ever talk about Madonna. Let me just tell you. Listen, I have to defend my queen, Madonna.
Why is she your queen? Let me ask you honestly. Why is she your queen?
Because I have loved Madonna since the first time I heard Madonna.
Yeah, but why is she your queen?
Because I just love her.
You don't know. You don't know.
She's one of those ones from the beginning. Yeah. It was that thing with her. New York, downtown, the clubs. Yeah. I was going to clubs since I was really young. Yeah, I just recognized that energy. And you remember back then, she took that club shit and just went global, and we loved her. And she talked about gay issues.
We didn't love her.
I'm talking about the gay community. She fucking spoke about us. She put us up front.
That is true.
We weren't freaks.
Totally
we were dancing on the tour. She was like, "This is okay." She talked about AIDS. A lot of artists are doing that at that time, but she was a big artist who came out and was really saying and doing these things. And the music was great. Fucking Madonna in the 80s, the 90s, early 2000s was great. This version of Madonna is a little weird, but I'm sorry. Her tours, those albums, she really did shape culture for a very long time. So,
I agree with you.
You know what I mean? And she's like Janet, I love Janet for something different. And Grace, I love for very much something different. But Madonna was, and still is, I get very mad at Madonna, but Madonna's my girl. I get really mad because I hate the ridiculousness of whatever is going on. So I don't even follow her anymore because I just don't want to pay attention to it. But if Madonna comes out with a record, I'm there. If Madonna goes on tour, I'm there. I love Madonna.
Yeah. I just think that I would just be interested if she's going to really cover her career.
Is it that's the thing, right?
Yeah,
but I also think as a Leo,
who's playing Jelly Bean and who's playing Mark Kamen.
I also think though, as a Leo, and who she is, I think she's going to tell the truth, and we will get a real story. Now, will it be great?
Oh.
I don't know.
No, she's not. No, I don't. I think it's just.
Why not? She's a visual artist. She's always been a visual artist. So telling her own life, who can tell somebody's life better than them, right? That it's the Janet Jackson thing. Are you going to really tell it?
Well, then it's not a bio. It's an autobiography. A bio implies some degree of objectivity.
Right.
Not to be technical. I'm not saying that she doesn't. Obviously, she's very.
But we're not talking about a book. We're talking about a movie.
No. A bio, though.
I know the difference. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I know you do. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying it to be technical. I'm saying she no longer has. I think, like many people, I don't think she has objectivity.
Right. Over any other situation.
Right.
And she's not been the nicest person, right?
Well, yeah.
So my thing is she going to cover herself like I was a victim? Because I do feel like as a woman, she had tough shit. But I have seen her on so many different occasions in person, and she could be a little rude. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's kind of like...
It's also depending when she's going to go up to. Is it going to be the early years? It's a very different, or is it going to be... So,
I just hope that all of this inspiration makes her realize next time she goes out on the road...
She's not going out on the road again. You really think?
Yeah. What is the
because
music?
I think
why would men go out on the road and the Rolling Stones?
That's nothing to do with her. That's nothing to do with her.
So then why
age.
would you just say
Because
Madonna's only in her
last-
60s?
No, that's not why she wouldn't go out on the road. It's not because
just
of that.
because she had injuries? That's not a reason why.
I think that she would have to go out on the road with a greatest hits thing. If she does that, yes.
No,
I don't
well,
think-
that's what I was about to say before you cut me off. I was going to say, yes, you did. Because you were like, she's not going to go out on the road. That's a cutoff. Well, especially when you're talking about Madonna. Madonna will go back out on the road. She's only 63. She will go back out on the road. And I do think doing this movie will absolutely, because she's been saying things like, I've been enjoying dancing around to the old songs, which she never does. I hope this makes her realize, bitch, pull out some of these. We need the hits. Don't come and try to sing Fado songs. Do you remember when she sang the Fado song, Miss Thing?
Well,
I was sitting there going...
You have to be a singer to sing
right,
Fado.
I was sitting there like...
What is this?
I love the idea for you.
Right.
But you can't sing this.
Well, especially we're referring to the last man, especially at 12:30 in the morning when you've been sitting there for 3 hours going
with no watch, not knowing what time it is.
Not knowing
and then
what
all of a
time.
sudden she's like, poo, ta, da, poo. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, no, that was a moment in time that we can say that we saw.
I mean, I love that show. It's not I loved it. I loved it for the intimacy of it all. But I was like, you should have thrown like 4 more of your hits in here somewhere.
Yeah, well,
it needed a little balance because it's like 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, it was. I checked out about halfway through. All right. Well, it'll be interesting. Like I said, I don't believe, I think that you sanitize stuff. All right. So there is a Kanye documentary, which he has nothing to do with. In fact, he's asking people not to watch it, and it's called Genius. It's on, I keep forgetting. Is it Netflix? It is on Netflix. I keep forgetting. And there's a new thing now where they're actually doing things episodically, where it's 1 week. And I'm like, wait, you just got me used to streaming, and now you're bringing me back to week by week. So I've only seen, everybody, unless you're a reviewer, has only seen week 1. Like everybody, I have my issues with Kanye, but I've never really had an issue with him artistically. I haven't been crazy about his last output. I haven't really paid attention to it, to be honest with you. I've paid attention to it for the purposes of this show, but I wasn't sitting there going, yeah, Jesus, can't wait to listen to it. But this is really fascinating. You watched it? Have you checked it out?
Okay, here's my honest thing. I've never been a huge Kanye West fan. I do not like the man. I do not like the person. I turned it on, got through 10 minutes and realized I just don't like him. I don't care. I don't care about his story. I don't care about his creative process. I do not care. And I turned it off. Even him on the screen just made my blood boil. I think he does such irresponsible shit.
Well, let's divide it. Let's divide it up, because you're absolutely right. We need to talk about that. What's interesting about this documentary? Okay, so it's 2 friends of his, or 2 people who knew him in Chicago before he was capital K Kanye, when he was on the come up, and people might not remember that he made his bones as a producer. Yep. He was not a rapper, and he was, did the Blueprint, and he did a lot of great stuff, worked with Common, and he was one of the first people who went from being a producer to being a producer rapper. And at the time, now that's not that big of a deal, but at the time, 2002. So this starts in like 2002, and it's watching him. And again, I only saw the first episode, but it's watching him become Kanye West. And it's focused more on his creative stuff. And it's so, because he was sort of going for a deal at Raucous Records, which was at the time a hugely influential independent hip hop label. Mos Def, Talib Kweli, quote, I'm making little rhyme, air quotes here, conscious backpack rap, and Rockefeller, which was the exact opposite, And it's just interesting to watch who he is. You see the flashes of who he became, but you also see him, this very solidly middle class, super smart, probably a nerd in high school, is kind of wearing braces, but you can see already that he has problems connecting. There's a scene where he's in the studio with Scarface and he takes his retainer out and he puts it on the counter and everybody's like looking at him like, what have you done? So there's like a little high functioning ass break. He doesn't read social cues, but there's some great scenes where he goes up to Rockefeller and he's literally spitting College Dropout. And people are just like, yeah, whatever. So it's interesting in that I understand I am 100% with you in terms of what he's become as a human being. But I went back and listened to College Dropout and Late Registration. Those were, it sounds so corny to say, those were so freaking popular and different. No one had ever kind of bridged that gap between backpack, conscious, talking about social issues, and clearly commercial. You know what I mean? Like clearly. So they were, it's interesting on that. And I guess it's going to start getting into like when he becomes.
Those albums still stand up.
They stand up, right?
The art is great.
The art is great. Yeah. He, as a human being, he is extremely problematic. Extremely problematic.
And listen, Donda 2 is supposedly coming at some point today, right? Like if you want to hear it, there is an event tonight in IMAX theaters. Well, the live show's in Miami, and I guess there's an event in IMAX theaters this evening. You know, it's the today's the 22nd of February, FYI. And I guess
two.
And people, he has that stem player. Listen, I am never mad, at anyone being an entrepreneur and figuring out a way to really own their music and their masters and make money from it. So him doing this stem player, which evidently has made him a couple of $1 million, and people thought the album.
Explain? I'm not. What is that exactly?
It's there was an old music sort of online player called Hit Something back in the day, and I think it's the same. Like
a Napster era,
or maybe something. Okay. And it's its own place where his music you have to pay for, I guess, the software, and that's the place where this music is going to live. He's not putting it on any other streaming services so that he can own, to get the higher percentages. Because like somebody made a really good point. They're like, Spotify can pay Joe Rogan and all these guys hundreds of millions of dollars, but they can't seem to really pay artists a fair rate on their songs. So I'm never mad at anybody going and trying to do whatever. For me, I can see sitting in an IMAX theater tonight, as Kanye always does, and he's late to the stage. What, you're going to be in the theater for 6 hours, waiting for him to come and do a fucking show at God knows what time? So, I just don't care.
Well, I mean, I watched it because I wanted to sort of know what was going on, but I am 100% with you. And he is.
Well, you're that person, which I like, because there's something where, sometimes I can force myself to get through something, but you will actually watch it, even if you don't like the person, and just be like, I'm gonna watch it.
Well, you're being way too kind to me.
And I normally can do
there
that
are
with
certain people, but
I was gonna say there's some people I can do that with, but just something about him for a long time has gotten under my skin. This is way before any of the recent shit. So like me giving any attention to him, I just don't have it for him. I don't. No,
I understand. And I did it just to watch it. It may be more problematic because look, I have said this before. I interviewed him in 2004, maybe, and he ranks among the most unbearable human beings I've ever been in a room with. And that's is saying a lot because I've been married. So clearly. And as a heterosexual woman, I date heterosexual men. So clearly I know what being with unbearable people is. And I work in schools. So clearly. No, he's like, piece of work doesn't even begin to describe him.
Everybody I know who's interviewed him, who's come back with like.
Wanting to kill him.
And just feeling like they had a headache.
No, a headache. Okay. So that, but. Look, it becomes this argument all the time, and you and I have it, and everybody has it. It's the art versus the artist. It's the art versus the artist. When the artist is now in the art, I can never get 100% behind Dr. Dre, no matter how great his records are, because he was that guy who beat up women. You know what I mean? Right. So it wasn't like, it's just, whereas Eminem, even though I'm not a huge fan, he sang about that stuff, but he wasn't actually stuffing his mother in the trunk of a car. But anyway, I wanted, because you and I, there has been a ton of shit. There's always a ton of shit about Kanye in the gossip pages, and partly because he was or is in the process of getting divorced from one of the most, love her or hate her, but one of the most famous women in the world. And we know he's mentally ill. We know he is untreated for his mental illness. We know he's a megalomaniac. We know he's promoting a record. But the level of vitriol and the level of threat now has gone from kind of like, oh, Kanye being Kanye. He is openly threatening Kim Kardashian's boyfriend, Pete Davidson, who I have no qualms with. This is a man who has children. And
he's threatening Chris, what's her face's Kris Jenner's boyfriend.
Who is that man, by the way?
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
My problem with that is just because he's famous, everybody's trying to act like that's not dangerous behavior. If this was your sister, your cousin, your mother, you'd be doing whatever you could, being like, she's in danger. Right. Like, I don't think that, to me, if you're this mentally unhinged, why don't I think you could snap and do something?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, why don't, I don't think just because you're famous, you won't do some shit. You're acting like a person who's unhinged. Get
your fans. Yeah. That's what's problematic, because whether he will do it, it's the fact. I mean, he's really spiraling. He is stalking Kim Kardashian, and she engenders a lot of hatred. And quite frankly, at this point, enough. She does not appear to be a bad person. Okay, she's frivolous and the stupid Kardashian family, whatever, but stop. It's sexist. It's really bordering.
Today's date? Amy Linda has taken up for a Kardashian. I have never thought I would hear the day. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but that's kind of shocking to me.
Well, I have limited use for this whole famous for the sake of famous, but I will give her credit. The rest of the family, not so much, but she has made. Is she my favorite person? No. Is she a symbol of something I can't stand? Yes, but to blame her for him is unfair.
Yeah, that is unfair.
It's unfair. And she is attempting, look, she is a symptom, you know what I mean, of a bigger problem in this country. But
I did agree with him on one thing, though. I did. When he, I guess there were pictures of his young kids all online. They were having a girls' day with, I guess, the sisters. And they put filters on the 4-year-old's face to make it look like she has makeup, but she has these poses. And
that's bad.
And he said, this looks too grown. My child looks too grown here. And even he was upset about North wearing makeup. And I do feel like those kids are really young and that makes them look a little too grown. It's like, let them be kids. They don't need to have makeup.
No, I agree with that 100%. I agree with the oversharing. I won't even take pictures of my friends' kids unless I have permission. I won't post them. I'll take pictures of them.
You know what I'm saying?
But I mean, the point is, and you're 100% right on this. I mean, it's the fans. We have fans are it's fanatical. Okay. You have,
and they think they're defending their artist.
Nicki Minaj can turn out those lunatics. Beyonce, she doesn't do it on purpose, but she has fans. Taylor Swift unleashes her fans on people, or they weaponize the fan. And that's the concern. And if she wasn't, Pete Davidson is not a bad person. He's never done anything to anybody. He really hasn't. He just happens, for whatever reason, to want to date Kim Kardashian. Okay, cool.
He must have a big penis because the women are lining up.
Allegedly.
I think they're lining up.
Again, you don't.
Ariana Grande?
Women.
How did you get Ariana Grande?
Oh, come on. Ariana Grande has been with, Mac Miller was not a traditionally good looking guy. And with men don't understand.
Kate Beckinsale?
Men don't understand why women have no issue with Pete Davidson.
I'm not saying we also don't understand you guys' obsession with Sarah Jessica Parker. We don't.
Who you guys?
Women, girl, not you. Women.
I don't know any woman who.
I'm sorry. Okay. No. Her whole career is because women are obsessed with her, Miss Thing. You may not know any, but how can that's for you to act like Sarah Jessica, you do not understand that Sarah Jessica Parker's whole thing is because women are obsessed with, which is why she always gets Vogue. They think she is Miss Fashion Goddess of the world, which is why she always gets Vogue covers and they treat her like a deity. It's very weird.
I mean, I'm being very honest. I think
Really?
she's a good. I've never met anybody who's obsessed with her.
Oh my God.
I think she's a good actress and she appears to be a decent, and she's a New Yorker and she's low key in her New York. No, honestly, I'm not saying this to be disingenuous. I have no.
Yeah, there's a lot of women that are obsessed with her. We don't get it. Yeah, we don't get, as a man, I don't get the Pete Davidson thing. Because I get I get that kind of not traditional situation. I just don't get it with him.
Oh, I've said it before. It's like, he's a nice guy. He never trashes the women he's been with. He is good to his mother, which is an indication of what he's going to be like as a boyfriend.
A lot of us are good to our mom.
I'm talking about what
you see in him.
That's an indication of what you will be like as a partner. If you're good to the most important woman in your life, or good to the most important man in your life. He's self-effacing. He is upfront about his issues. Women love to fix somebody. And he's had tragedy. He has had real tragedy in his life. And so hence he is a little bit wounded.
And you're like, I can fix you. I can heal you. Yeah.
I can fix you. And he comes from like kind of a hard scrabble background, you know. So, I mean, do I find him physically attractive?
Basically you just said that he drinks and he's good in bed.
No, I didn't say he doesn't drink. No.
That's what it sounds like.
No,
he's
not
a good
that
time. He loves me. He parties too much. He looks like the type who parties too much to me. He does. There are times I look at him and he looks all weathered.
I think that's what he looks like. What I'm trying to say is,
and listen to you. He doesn't party too much. How do you know? How do you know what he does?
I don't care if he parties. I'm not interested in it. I'm trying to explain why a lot of women why to bash him is not the issue, because he doesn't appear to be a bad person.
Well, I think the thing is they were friends, right? And there is that. And I think a little bit of that rule is like, girls don't like it when their female friend starts fucking their ex. They don't like that, right?
I don't think anybody likes that.
Right. So Kanye and Pete were friends.
Were they?
Yes, they were friends.
Oh, I know he's friends with Kid Cudi.
They were friends. So I think a little bit is that man thing. You know, certain men can't deal with their emotions with that kind of shit. It's like hurt feelings for some men causes explosions, right? So I think his feelings are hurt. So when that to a man is worse than physical pain, because someone like him, he's just gonna go completely out of his mind.
Yeah. I mean, but I think
I just think it's weird and it's dangerous, and people shouldn't be laughing and thinking this is fun.
Well, that's what the point is. And
republishing this shit when he's making threats to people, and you guys are all putting it up like it's stories, and it's like, actually, there's a real person on the other end of that.
Well, exactly, and that's the point, and that's important, and that's the point you're making, which is important. This is sexist. This is abusive. And if his name, like you said, if his name was Joe Smith, and this was Mary Jones, the police would be involved at this point.
And none of us would think it was funny.
No.
You know what I mean? Right.
No, that's the point. And I'm glad you said that's the point. So it's like there are real problems in the world. You know, the world is in chaos right now. I know we all love gossip. Listen, I'm not going to act like
who doesn't?
We all love gossip.
We love a good piece of gossip.
Yeah.
But we don't need this. A full meltdown with threats is kind of different than gossip.
When there are children involved.
Or when you're trying to call yourself exposing people. Like, because here's the thing. Kanye better be careful with his exposing people. You know what I'm saying? Because there's lots of things that have floated around about him. It's like exposing can go both ways.
Yeah.
So and I'm a firm believer in the shit you put out in the universe will come and smack you in your ass when you are not looking and knock you right off your feet. So be careful when you're so busy wanting to expose other people, because I'm sure there's a lot of those people being very quiet about you. And if they start talking, you're going to gag.
Well, yeah, all right. Yeah, I think it's just a very unfortunate, and hopefully, you know, I
don't care about these people. It's all dumb. And guess what? They'll all be fine. It's dumb. It really is.
No, they will all be fine. But I think what you were saying and what we're kind of saying is that there's a bigger issue at hand. And it's like, we're dealing with a woman, no matter what you think of this woman. I don't care if her career was because she was sucking off every fucking NBA player in the world. She's potentially a victim. And I would say the same for a man as well. That to me is the bigger issue. And that's what you were saying. And that's what's important.
No, listen, it's a real person on the end of threats. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it doesn't feel good coming from anybody. And it definitely doesn't feel good being that public and weird, you know?
Right. So there you go.
From somebody who's acting unhinged. Because like, you don't know what they can do. It's like, well, you're already acting crazy. Like, what's the end of crazy?
What is the end? That's going to be the name of your memoir. What's the our new episode will be called "What's the End of Crazy?" The end of crazy. All right. So last week we discussed. Even saying his name is exhausting. What has he done this week that's stupid? Our mayor, Eric M. Anything stupid this week?
I don't know. I'm trying not to pay attention.
Thank you. I'm with you as well.
Well, what promise has he gone back on so far? Well, he just started
the composting. The composting. Yeah.
Yes, our vegan mayor who eats fish is already gone back on.
Our man with no fixed address who eats fish, but he's a vegan, and his favorite concert was the one where the guy actually didn't perform and was crippled.
You can't make this shit up. You can't.
Are we being punked with this guy?
My favorite one. It was like, yeah, but the performance was really good before that.
It's like,
was it? You mean when the first band was rushed off stage because
and when Curtis Blay, he's well, all right. So he mentioned Eric Adams, hopefully one-term mayor Eric Adams, mentioned that his way of combating crime, or one of the ways of combating crime in New York, was that he was going to ban drill music. And some DJs, including another man I inexplicably like as a human being, Joe Budden. Inexplicable. Don't ask me to explain that one.
He's interesting though. That's the thing.
He is interesting. And talk about troubled. Oh my God.
But he's interesting in a different way.
He's smart. He's a great interview, but he's not. Yeah, he's a reclamation project too. But so anyway, we were talking and Courtney made a really good point. Like, what's drill music? What is it? Because if you're like us, I every week there's like a new hyphenate that I can't keep up with. So, drill is a type. It's a subgenre of hip hop, and I guess it started in Chicago. And the best known proponent of it was Chief Keef. Oh my God,
Chief Keef.
Thank you, Chief Keef. Very violent. He was super young, right? Very violent lyrics, and very affiliated with gangs. It wasn't even like I'm talking about it. He was in violent. Chicago's.
So is drill? Is it derivative from? Is it really primarily from gangs? Because what seems to be happening in this scene seems different than just like rap battles. It seems.
Well, it's
like
kind of
gang
sort of
warfare.
Well,
on
it's
record.
kind of sort of because it's like which came first, the chicken or the egg, right? I mean, are they reporting something? Are they part of a life? Because there's the Chicago Grill and Chicago Drill, and a lot of artists in Chicago, the older rap, like the Lupe Fiascos and the Commons were like, and Chance the Rapper distanced himself. They said, we don't want anything to do with this. Like, this is super violent stuff.
Right.
It's like, so what came first, the violence or the guys talking about the violence? I mean, my problem with is that the Chicago stuff I didn't think was very interesting artistically. It's very hard. It's very
isn't it? It's almost localized, right?
Well,
like a lot of these scenes, except for like Pop Smoke, who you said worked with UK rappers, so he kind of brought it onto more of an international scene.
Yeah, he was. What was interesting about Pop Smoke, who died, because of violence. He worked with the UK. There's a UK drill too. It's a very brittle sound. It is not your hooky. The hip hop you and I were raised with, hooky, but he was interesting because he did work with UK producers, which gave him, I guess it's similar in a sense to grime in the intensity. Right. I don't know whether grime stuff is leading to gang warfare. I mean, there's good artists in it. There's bad artists in it. There's a lot of the New York artists are associated with gang, but my problem is I'm always very leery when you're coming down on the art as opposed to the cause of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that this stuff isn't super violent because according to Eric Adams, one-term mayor Eric Adams,
our vegan mayor who eats fish.
Our vegan mayor who eats fish, who has no fixed income. Not fixed income, fixed
address,
no fixed address. He is saying that they're sending messages, which is very well, because it's messages that you and I aren't listening to because we're like old people.
But we're also not in that life, right?
Well, so that's what I'm saying.
It's probably not untrue, because this just seems to be like these young men are getting killed in their prime. Like one who was just killed over the week. What's his name? Super Gates, I believe, who was killed recently.
I honestly don't know.
He was about to sign a deal with Atlantic Records. You know what I mean? Okay. And he's dead. So maybe there are messages being sent. Pop Smoke was killed right as his career was beginning, and he was going into having a big moment.
Right.
So it's like they're not even getting to survive into these careers. So that's what makes this different. It's really like a war. It's like war music.
It is. And like, I mean, very much so. I mean, there is, like I said, and look, hip hop.
And that being said, like we always say, and I didn't mean to cut you off, I'm very sorry.
No, it's fine.
I don't think it should, listen, it's the music of the streets, right? It's a really hard thing. People have to express themselves. And this is what it is. This is people's real life. Not all the rap is pretty and, rolling around with hooks with a diva singing on the hook. Some of it really is. People are talking about their real shit. And so many people can relate to that. How do we stop it from people not even getting to get to the place where they can get out? They're just being killed.
Right. Well, I mean, again, God, we'd have to be sociologists for this, because there's a desperation that will never go away, and things are just kind of going to get worse. Is it music that I listen to? No, because it's so hard on my ears, and it's lyrically
it's not meant for our ears too. You know what I mean?
No, it's not. Well, exactly. It is not. It is an encoded language that we would be crazy in our age if we were listening to. That said, my former students used to talk about Pop Smoke. I was like, and he's really good. I mean, now a lot of these guys are good, but he was in particular really, really super good. But it's, you could equate it to like the trap. It is sort of a derivative of trap. And you could say, all right, these guys were talking about cooking up coke in their kitchen, and you and I are like, cooking up coke? What's that? You mean what? I'd like to make some cookies,
Yeah, but we know what cooking up coke is. They were talking about cooking up coke and all of our shit and all of our songs.
Right, I know. Guess what? I just got an email. Guess what's coming in the mail today?
Mariah Carey is coming to my house.
Oh, no.
Here's Adora. Mylyn Farmer.
My COVID test.
Oh. You're just getting those?
Yes.
When I sent the link?
Yes.
And you did it that same day. I got mine the next week, and so did my mom and my sister.
I don't know.
That's hilarious. Wait, thank you. Now that all the restrictions are over.
Now that the restrictions are being dropped, and
they're
the
like,
COVID rate is down.
By the way, here's your COVID test. By the way, everything's open and you don't need to wear a mask.
Right.
Merry
By
Christmas.
the way, the rates are down 65%, and basically you can cough on somebody without fear of being arrested. But here's your COVID test.
That's
it also
hilarious.
Yeah. Yay for
that's hilarious. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad. It's so yay. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off that, but I just saw this alert.
Why did I think you got those already?
No.
My shit has been sitting in there for weeks.
I got a COVID test. I got a COVID test last Wednesday outside of my college, and it was one of the Health and Hospital Corps ones. What's today, Tuesday? I haven't gotten the result yet. I could be 5 times dead. I could be 5 times dead at this point.
Meanwhile,
and they used to do the turnaround in 24 hours.
I mean, meanwhile, Miss Queen, the Queen has COVID from Charles. And at first, yesterday, they were like, oh, she's going to do everything virtually. She's just going to do all the things virtually. Now they've canceled all the virtual shit.
Well, she's 95 years old.
I
mean, she's 95. I mean, the fact that she is still alive is like that. Inbreeding can be good. You know what I mean? Inbreeding can be a good thing.
And still always has a fierce hat.
She really does.
Always has a fierce hat.
Listen, we have a relationship with the Queen because we don't have to worry about her. It's like, yeah, the Queen. I know they're horrible. I know all the things, but come on, The Crown was fucking great. Did you watch The Crown?
I did.
It's great. It's great. I mean, I know it's fiction and we don't, You want to talk about Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Well, no, let's do Jamal.
You want to do Jamal first and then Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm shocked that I'd never heard of this guy. How could that be?
It is absolutely. First of all, I love his mother. I watch Loose Women in the UK, which is their version of The View. And Brenda, who is a singer, Brenda Edwards, who is a singer, an actress, she is a panelist on Loose Women. And she talks about her children with such pride because, I believe she got divorced when the kids were young, and she raised Jamal and his sister, I believe, on her own, and she just had so much pride in him. And when he was really young, he founded SBTV, which was a place for UK rap and urban acts to be seen, because he felt like in the UK scene, radio and TV, there was no place that was showcasing UK acts. And it brought me back to a time where there's a UK artist who shall be nameless, who came to the US to work. And we had a conversation one day, and I was asking her, well, why did you move to the US? I was like, you had success there. She said, yes, but as a Black artist doing my urban music, she felt like there was this ceiling and couldn't get past at that time. So it made sense, that he understood that and kind of launched the careers of a lot of people, gave them a place. Ed Sheeran was first there, Stormzy, Skepta, Dave. Jessie J. And it grew into this really big platform, which is still there with hundreds of millions of subscribers, as SBTV on YouTube. And he just gave a lot of people opportunities in the music industry, did a lot of stuff as a DJ, a producer, just an all-around music man. He was awarded an MBE at 24. And it's just devastating. He had they described it as a short illness. So his mother was completely shocked and caught off guard. So we don't know what it is. I'm not sure if it sounds like whatever happened was very, very sudden.
Like it came on and that was it.
It's just, or sudden, like maybe a heart attack sudden. You know what I mean? Because it didn't sound like he was very sick. So It just seems like everyone is shocked. It's really sad. The UK music scene is completely rocked. And I just send out my love and blessings to Brenda, because she was so proud of him. And whenever she would talk about her children and talk about him, and he came on Loose Women once, because she was just beaming with pride. And I think, like any parent is not supposed to bury their child, but I think, as someone who raised, even though your son has his dad, but you raised your kid with you, it's like, that's just seems like an impossible and horrific thing. He was 31 years old.
I mean, I mean, on every conceivable level. And I'm kind of shocked, because like you are like, you outdo me in the Anglophile. I mean, I bow down to your Anglophone, your Anglophile, your love of all things British. I bow down to that. I'm just shocked that maybe I had heard of the guy and just was one of the 9 million names coming, back.
Well, the thing is, a lot of the music and the producers and those things. And, he was really back instrumental in doing things behind the scenes. And he was a guy that a lot of people knew in that way. But now when you see a lot of people is connected to it and you go back, you're like, oh, wow, you realize the influence. And he's not somebody who was getting covered the same way here, right? So you wouldn't know him from all of the people that you know, and that they were doing, things here. We're weird with what we cover and who we kind of let be a name in the US.
Well, what's interesting, and also we're not as the Brits they're obsessed with a different kind of celebrity. The industry there is very, very different than the industry here. I have to say that when I was reading the obits and reading about him, the Ed Sheeran correction was kind of like, wow. But when I started thinking about it, whatever you want to think about Ed Sheeran, there's a lot positive and a lot negative. He has always had this very quiet connection with Black music. He has always kind of you can tell that he's a kid who grew up listening to hip hop and listening to black music. And so I could sort of see where someone with really good ears, which obviously this man had, would hear that in Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can. So, well, anyway, yeah, like you said, it's super
I think
sad.
what people love about Ed Sheeran is the fact that he has soul in his voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
which is why he can do a concert with just him, his band, in a stadium with a giant screen and his guitar, and have you all 80,000 people in there singing his song, right? Without having to have 50 dancers and feathers and balloons. He's not on the picker going out and waving down, screaming at you, twirling. You know, it's like
they need to stop doing that, by the way. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying it feels like it's been done
a million times.
Which
is why the catwalk is already good. Just go out into there, let people see you, and have a
exactly.
stage
Why
so
do
they
I
can
have
see
to
you
look
closer.
up? Why do I have to look up?
Nobody ever likes when you're above them screaming. You know,
though I will say, have you seen Pink live? Have you ever seen Pink in concert?
I have never seen. I've seen her at award shows. I've never been to a Pink concert. And the first time I actually saw Pink was at a showcase when her first album came out. In LA, when she was a black artist, and we were doing this thing. It was the CVC, and it used to be the Video Report magazine. And every year they had a conference, so all the people who work video promotion would go, and it was like Pink, Khalees. I can't remember who else. It was like some whatever. And so
girls of that year.
So I saw her when she was black, and she was singing "Most Girls Want a Man with the Ching Ching." I want my man with the ding ding. Google
Pink's career, and you'll know what we're talking.
And the fierce thing was, she was successful then too. That was a platinum album with big hits. But then the next album was Misunderstood. And there you go. Yeah, so I saw all of that. But she had short pink hair. She was giving you "I Dance."
Right. Giving you
I got my dances. Yeah,
I'm giving you "I Dance." Yes. And then she said, "Fuck this shit.
Right.
I'm tired of being black. I don't want to be the only white artist on LaFace Records." She was the only white artist on LaFace, right?
I think so, right?
I think she was their Tina Marie.
It
worked
out.
It worked out. But what I was going to say about Pink and the Flake, I saw her many years ago, or not many years, a couple of years ago. I mean, she really does sing upside down. I mean, she is like singing upside down, and she is actually singing like upside down. Right. So that is impressive. What are you listening to these days? I know you're always listening to some really cool, obscure kind of stuff.
Well, you know.
And you have to preface it by saying, for some reason,
I've been going on Quincy Jones produced albums kick. And so, I started with Hey Now, Hey, Aretha's really weird 1974 album that I love. That's super weird, but her voice sounds great on it. Then I went to Quincy's The Dude. I was having that moment again because, who doesn't like a little James Ingram and Patty Austin vocal? Then I landed on Donna Summer's Quincy Jones produced album, which is the one that has State of Independence. Has a Love, Finger on the Trigger, Love's in Control on it, and State of Independence. And I love it, but it's funny when her and Quincy, I don't think, she didn't always love recording that album. She used to say that sometimes she felt like it was a Quincy Jones album that she got to sing on, right? But I just think his production's always great, but it's really weird when we think about him and his legacy. Then you go back, you start listening to some of the albums that he's produced outside of Michael Jackson, and it's very varying results with different people, So I've just been on a kick of going through Quincy Jones.
I think that he's got, there's a great documentary about him, which is also, I think, Netflix. I think that he's got to be one of those producers that when you're an artist, you walk in knowing that a great deal of it is going to be him.
Right. That
he is going to bring out the best of you, but he's also going to make sure the best of him comes out too.
Right. Well, so he might get the best of your vocals, but are these your best songs?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he definitely. That's what I'm realizing with the Michael Jackson. Look, like you can see, right? Which is why he didn't produce Dangerous, right? He did the first thing, and Michael was like, "I need to do Dangerous. I need to."
kind of take control.
Yeah.
Well, he's Quincy Jones is a larger than life figure. So it's not like somebody who took, a back seat. I mean, he was somebody, you went to Quincy Jones for a reason. But sometimes you might have to kind of give up a little bit of yourself.
You realize, and then that's what comes with going to Quincy Jones for that reason. Right.
It's like, A, I have a Quincy Jones record. B, I have a Quincy Jones record.
Right.
I mean, like I said, I went back and was listening to some Kanye just to kind of remind myself that he's a fucking lunatic and problematic. But, the music is there. But I listened to it, both albums, one through. I was like, damn, these were good. And then I'm done. I don't have to listen to them.
Right.
I'm done. And I've started reading, I think I may have mentioned this last time, and I've started reading Dan Charnas's Dilla Time about Jay Dilla. Mm-hmm. The amount of research this guy put into it. So it's really interesting because he's really building up. He's starting in the beginning. You and I think we both said that he's a name that we know, but we don't know enough about him. And that is my bad for sure. So far into that, but because I'm an old person, I start reading and then I fall asleep. It's really sad. It's really sad.
That's actually quite sad.
I love to read. Well, you know what it is? I'm not on the train as much. And that's where I used to do a lot of my reading.
Absolutely.
So I'm not riding the train, and I would look really stupid if I was walking to work reading a book. I hate people who do stuff like that. We'll talk about Rock and Roll Hall of Fame next week because we got a lot of stuff, and I'm really glad you hipped everybody to Jamal. Jamal, right?
Jamal Edwards, yes.
Yeah, I'm glad because I'm glad people hip to it. All right, so please.
I'm so sorry for Brenda. I really am.
Yeah. That's I by the way, Loose Women is a fantastic name for a show. Mm-hmm. I much prefer that than The View.
Women.
I like that.
And they get into little tips, but they can't really, because of the UK and their TV stuff. They talk about Boris, but they can't really go into politics.
Well, it's BBC, right?
I believe so.
It is for all of the great shows that come out of the BBC and the dramas and stuff. It is state-owned television. I mean, they kind of have to be careful because Boris might go, funding? Oops. What is this funding you speak of?
Right.
Well, maybe Madonna, because she's such an Anglophile, she can go, oh, how great would it be if they had one actress play Madonna as a younger, and then they could have the British version of Madonna, and we could have a British actress play her. That would be great.
Or Madonna. Thank God she didn't do a real Leo shift. Say, I'm going to play myself.
Oh, even if she's your queen, Courtney, that was your first fear. That was your first fear. And she would do it. She would do it like they did in The Irishman, the Martin Scorsese, where they made her look younger.
Digitally, and it'd be a mess, that ass and shit.
Oh my God. That would be.
Could you imagine?
That would be scary. Listen, don't put it out there. She might be listening to us and decide to do.
She's going to be like, in the second half of the film, there's no one who could play me.
There's no one who could play me.
I'm the only one who knows what it was like to do this.
Did you ever see, by the way, it's one of those fake documentaries on like Amazon about the Breakfast Club, Madonna and the Breakfast Club?
Yes.
Okay, that girl is so good that I actually thought it was like a documentary for like 5 seconds.
Everybody thought it was Madonna.
No,
that's
I
the
was
thing.
Like, oh my God, this girl
she
is
looked
amazing.
really like her.
I know. Maybe she's had surgery. Now she looks even more like
her. I'm auditioning for the movie.
Good. I think you could be Jelly Bean. Yes, I want you to be Jelly Bean.
I either want to be Jelly Bean or I'm auditioning for the part of Liz Rosenberg. I see a wig and some makeup, a little digital enhancement. I could be Liz Rosenberg.
I'm gonna dig you out of that hole.
I want to be the harried publicist to it all.
Oh my God.
Who's like, Madonna, you can't.
Liz Rosenberg.
The legend. She's a legend.
When I used to go up to Warner Brothers, when Liz had this fantastic office, this huge office, and it had tons of toys in it. And whenever I'd bring Lucian with me, she would be like, just put him in my room.
Right.
Play with toy. Oh, okay. On that note, you have officially, as the kids say, slayed me with that. Liz Rosenberg.
And that's what it is, kids. You know what time it is. We're out every Thursday with a new episode on the Pantheon Podcast Music, your one-stop shop for everything music. So please check us out there and one of the other 70-plus shows. You love music, there's something there for you. You like talking to us? Fierce. We love talking to you. Come to our Facebook page. It's ImmaLetYouFinish, all one word. We're there a lot. We interact with you there. We're on TikTok at ImmaLetYouFinish Podcast. We're on Twitter at FinishImma. We hate that name. We're on IG at
I kind of do too. I'm glad you said that.
Oh my God, I hate it. It was like, it kept trying to give me, because somebody has an Imma Let You Finish. It was giving all these, finish 20 seconds. Finish Imma was the less of the evils, and I fucking hate it.
It sounds like somebody, for those of you who, I admit, who watched Darcy and Stacey of the 90 Day Fiancé.
You do not watch that, do you?
Okay, you have to understand that I watch it purely for the color commentary with my best friend. I watch it. Okay, I watch it like I exercise.
Didn't they try to sing? Don't they have a song? I feel like they have a song.
They have everything. But it turns out that they're biracial, which is interesting. They're Cape Verdean, and their father is hotter than hot. But what I was going to say is, it sounds like they always marry these guys from these strange former Soviet unions, and that's how their husbands talk. I finish Imma breakfast. So yes, sorry. Listen, listen to Pia Zadora. I do listen. Listen. There's
Pia
no shame.
Zadora is underrated as a singer.
And Darcy and Stacey is a freak show.
And on that note, we'll see you next week, kids. Bye.
Bye.
Maryland sports fans, there's only one sports book in the great state of Maryland with over 50 years experience booking bets and supporting customers. Betfred Sportsbook at Longshots is now open and is the only sportsbook in Frederick offering cash betting on football, basketball, world soccer, and more. Visit the Betfred Sportsbook at I-270 and MD-85 in Frederick, right next to Longshots off-track betting. Go to betfredsports.com for more information and your chance to win exclusive merchandise. Must be 21 or older. Play responsibly. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett, Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package, with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's FantasyPoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. FantasyPoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.